Hey, Utah Mammoth fans, Tusks up, and welcome back to another Utah Mammoth Daily update. Today, we're going to zoom in on the Salt Lake Tribune's roundup of the Athletics season preview. Yeah, I know, but hang with me. The hype, the math, and the big ifs for year two. We'll hit the projections, the big three, the blue line wild card, and the depth question that could swing the season. Let's start. So the article lays it out perfectly. The hype train is real, but the models are very cautious. The projection lands at about 90.5 points, 50% playoff odds, and 2.4% Stanley Cup odds. Literally a coin flip to make the dance. Why so tempered? Because Utah spent part of its depth to get J.J. Peterka. I think this is being blown out of proportion myself, having watched pretty much every game last year, and the national media just can't. There's not enough time in the day. So I think they're blowing that out of proportion big time. But this is what they're saying. Losing Josh Doan and Michael Kesselring helped last year's expected goals glow up, and the model isn't convinced Peterka alone replaces that value out of the gate. I think he does. I think he does, and I think that Nate Schmidt, Brandon Tanev, the other additions, plus the continued growth of Logan Cooley, Dylan, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. That's the tension of this season. Excitement you could feel versus spreadsheets asking for proof, and not just spreadsheets, but actual national writers and people that cover the sport. The preview also makes an important point. This is the projection they're least comfortable with. If one or two guys pop, 90.5 can look silly in a hurry. But the flip side is also true. If the depth is a step short, you're sweating the bubble in March like we were last year. Here's how I frame it for opening week. The number isn't a ceiling, it's a challenge. Utah's front office bet on concentrated quality at the top and internal growth underneath, plus continued growth at the top. If the growth shows up, the model breaks. If it stalls, the model wins. It's as simple as that. And I think the model's going to get broken. That's truly what I think. Next up, the big three question. Can Logan Cooley and Dylan Guenther form a playoff-worthy trio with Clayton Keller? The Athletics model says yes on paper, a combined plus 26.2 net rating for those three, right in line with other fringe playoff cores in the West. But there's no margin for error. Utah needs every drop of production those guys project to deliver. Keller's case is the cleanest. I mean, he's the captain. He's my favorite player. He's 27, fresh off of 90 points, and his defensive results with him on the ice have improved for 3 straight seasons. People around the league are now using the O word, Olympics, when they talk about him. That's star territory, and that's exactly where he belongs. For Guenther, it's about consistency and 5-on-5 finish. His shot and rush play are elite. Getting his 5 versus 5 points per 60 to match the impact is the next step, and I think he's well on his way to doing that. Just look at the preseason. For Cooley, almost every element jumped from year 1 to year 2. Transition, passing, late season heater. And the comp scouts keep whispering is a stylistic Jack Hughes takeoff. It's pretty big. If he plants the number 1 center flag this year, the conversation changes from bubble to threat, and he gets a big old bag. Bottom line, if Keller repeats, Guenther levels up at 5-on-5, and Cooley becomes a true number 1 center. Utah isn't just hyped, they're for real. And that's another one that I think is going to happen. I think Clayton Keller is going to break 100 points. I think Dylan Guenther will prove he is a 5v5 threat, and Logan Cooley is going to be one of the best number 1 centers in the league. Obviously not elite, but he's going to be up there. Next up, the wild card to call out in the piece is Maverick Lamoureux stepping into the void left by Michael Kesselring. That's a big ask, and it's also something that I've been wondering myself. Who steps into the Michael Kesselring role? Because Kesselring himself stepped up into that role. He made that role for himself. So is it going to be Dmitry Simashev? He's already on the roster. Everyone is confident in him, myself included. Or is it going to be Maverick Lamoureux? Let's talk about Lamoureux because I've talked a lot about Simashev. Lamoureux has the tools. 6'7", mobile, heavy shot, and a compete level that's been praised by prospect folks. But this is a polish versus potential trade-off. If he holds water in a sheltered role, Utah can keep its top 4 minutes clean. If he needs time, it almost stresses the rotation. The rest of the picture, Mikhail Sergachev projects like a legitimate number one by value. He projects like a number one any way you slice it. Opinions vary on his tiering, but he stabilizes the group. John Marino showed retrievals and exits last year that stack up with big names. The ask is a touch more defense to push him into the true two right defenseman or second right defenseman territory. Sean Durzi drives offense, but usually needs a partner with cover. If Marino steps up, Durzi slides into a more fitting number 3 role, and everything kind of falls into place very nicely. And then in net, Karel Vejmelka was excellent last season. I think we can all agree. 20.8 goals saved above expected, .904 save percentage in 58 games, and that insane 24 straight starts to close out the year. The caution flag is workload, obviously. The preview flatly says that's not sustainable, and that's not hard-hitting journalism right there. Enter Vitek Vanacek. If he's a competent 20 to 25 start backup, the entire house steadies. If not, you're asking Vejmelka to be superhuman again. That is the hinge on the back end, and I think both of them are going to have really solid seasons. The only worry I have is shootouts. The 2 shootouts they had to close out the preseason against the Kings and the Sharks left a lot to be desired, much like the shootouts did last year. And that's both on the goalies as well as the guys trying to get the puck in the net. That needs to improve by a wide margin, I think. And lastly, let's talk about the strengths, weaknesses, and the range of outcomes for this club. Strengths first. Top-end talent with Keller, Cooley, Gunther, Peterka, Sergachev. A cleaner center spine with Barrett Hayton at second center. And a more natural role for Nick Schmaltz in the middle 6. The model even pegs him around a plus 2.3 net rating for that slot. Strong value for a team's, for a team like Utah. Add Peterka's plus 5.8 offensive rating and quality passing, and you see why folks believe in Utah's top 6. Weaknesses. The article is blunt about the bottom 6 scoring, as is everybody else. Last year it was a black hole. I mean, no team was threatened by the bottom 6 at all. Names like Krause, McBain, Carcone, Stenlin, Tanev need to turn transition and forecheck pressure into actual goals, not just goal pressure. If the third line can get to respectable, the whole roster composition makes sense. Range of outcomes? Best case lands around 102 points. That's about where I have him. I have him at about 101 to 103, so 102 lands right in the middle. Star surge, Sergachev carries, and the depth is good enough. Worst case sinks to 77. That's not going to happen. Stalled development and thin scoring. The consensus takeaway matches the title of our show today. The hype is warranted, but delivery is the assignment. Utah is better positioned than most year 2 hype teams because the top is legitimate. Now it's about shrinking the maybes. My read, if one of Cooler, let's call Gunther and Cooley Cooler. How about that? Gunther and Cooley jumps and the bottom 6 gets to league average offense, even towards the bottom of league average. Utah beats the 90.5 and plays meaningful April hockey. If both jumps happen, which I'm fully confident in, we're going to be talking about seeding, not just bubbles. So that's today's Utah Mammoth Daily. The models say coin flip. The talent says ceiling. I say, let's not go with just the models. Let's hype it up. Utah's job over the next 82, turn could into did. I'm Matt, and thanks for showing up today. I will see you all tomorrow. Tusks up.